So, are we started? Does it take
Yeah,
a
we're
minute to start?
started. And another thing I saw
No,
is
it's
that
fine.
at the beginning of each video, we're supposed to all state our names.
Oh, yes, I did see
That
that.
was in addition. So I'm Natalie Miller.
I'm Cambria Reeves.
I'm Rebecca Jackson.
And I'm Hannah Kamek. We're missing Jessica. I can't remember what her last name is.
Fredericks or something.
Yes, Jessica Frederick. So
All right.
hopefully she can
Yeah.
join us later. Okay,
Are we
so,
using microphones?
oh yeah, we can mute microphones.
Not you.
Well, yeah, I won't mute my microphone. Okay, so I'm assuming we all watched the videos of the Israel God is Calling, and then the little video about what would you do if you're in that situation. So I guess we can start. First of all, should we all just acknowledge that that's like a really awesome talk? I loved it. I was so excited that that was what we were going to listen to because I was like, oh yay! I don't remember what class I listened to it in last semester, but I loved it. Anyways, so the first question is, what threats to children and families did Elder Holland mention, and how was Babylon influenced? Oh, how has Babylon influenced the development of the threat to children and families that you have chosen to address? So I'm assuming that's talking about our threats that we all chose last week. So anyone want to start? Do you want me to start with mine? Okay, go ahead, Anna.
Okay, so I watched the video that President Holland gave, and then I read it again, and I didn't know kind of what the question was asking. I thought it was asking like what specific threats was he talking about in the talk, and when I went through it again, I didn't really find any specific ones, but I just said that I felt like there's always threats to families and children because Satan wants to ruin our plan, the plan of happiness. And so I just felt like all of the things that he addressed, like he didn't address any specifically, but it just showed how far the adversary is willing to push us so that we aren't happy. And my threat that I chose for the discussion board was like how technology affects our relationships and especially like children's cognitive development and stuff. And so if we're talking about that threat specifically, it seemed like Holland was just kind of saying like we are in Babylon and we have to like stand up tall and make sure that we can create Zion because we're not going to be removed from it. So that's what I got from it.
Thank you. Anyone want to go next? Share anything?
I'll go. So like Hannah, my threat that I picked for whatever we're doing for is also technology and how different uses of technology can destroy the family. There's gaming that takes away from husbands from wives or wives from husbands. There's chat rooms, there's Facebooks, there's all this social media, and people get wrapped up into that, and they no longer they'd much rather live a life online than they would in real life, and so it shuts people down. And I felt the same way that Elder Holland was trying to say that we never should check our religion at the door. So when our religion is focused on the family, that's central to the Lord's plan. So when we find something that is more important to us than our family, we are completely checking out of our religion. He also said that we could never dumb down this doctrine, and that the family is, like I said, central to the Creator's plan. So by people being more involved in technology than they are in real life, it's kind of like an antichrist, which we learned from Sister Beck last week, that if it's antichrist, it's anti-family, or if it's anti-family, it's antichrist. So that's just kind of what I picked up from his talk.
The things that I picked up from him, that he was trying to be pretty general, but then he did say poverty, ignorance and transgression, unemployment and abuse, violence and heartache in our neighborhoods and our cities and our nations. He said that there were a lot more things that he could talk about, but he really didn't want to go into depth about sexual transgressions and physical violence and pornography, that those are huge threats that are threatening Babylon, or that are Babylon, and that he didn't want to point those ones out in this talk in particular. My threat that I chose is marriage, and just the rise of cohabitation and how that's ruining marriages, and also the unrealistic expectations of a fairy tale marriage, that a marriage should just work, and if you're not happy, then you should get a divorce and move on, and how that's really a big threat to marriage because people aren't committed as they should be.
Thanks, you guys. I like Rebecca, I had the poverty and ignorance. I had that little quote about the transgression, unemployment, and abuse, violence, heartache. And I just thought, oh, that kind of is all encompassing. Like, it really does cover all of those things. And I really liked when he said we don't check our religion at the door, because I thought that's huge for just everyday living. And I think maybe we make those little transgressions and those little threats in our family by doing that. So for me, for my threat, I'm talking about like the effects of pornography on children and adolescents. And I wish I could remember the article I was reading. I've read it in two articles. One of them was just an article that was like a study about pornography, and one of them was one of the apostles said it, and I can't remember where it was, but it just gave this statistic that that by the time 9 out of 10 boys by the time they're 11 are using pornography. And I was just really like, I don't know, I guess I was surprised or not surprised. Oh, did it just disappear? Because I can't see anyone now. Can you guys still see me and hear me?
Yeah, we can see you and hear.
Okay, it's back. Oh, it was just this of Hannah. I think the picture popped up. Sorry about that. But it just talked about this attack, and I think it's something that I've seen. Like, my little 8-year-old son came home from a friend's house the other day and said, "Hey, Mom, I was at our neighbor's house, and I saw a bad picture on the computer." And I thought, oh, they're seeing it everywhere, and it's affecting them. And if parents shy away from the topic, then, it starts them off young. And I think I feel like we're at an advantage because we have seen what the damage is. And I don't know if a generation ago we really understood that. So I think it's up to us as parents to really, really take advantage and get that threat out of our home as best as we can. Okay, so the next question is, how does Elder Holland's description of Babylon and Israel coincide with defending the doctrine of the family in these latter days? Does someone want to take that one?
Sure. Well, I just thought that the whole time they were escaping or fleeing from people that were persecuting them and not letting them have their religious freedom, and how that's going on now. The quote that I really like that stood out to me is, "We're going to have to fight for laws and circumstances and environments that allow the free exercise of religion and our franchise in it. That is one way we can tolerate being in Babylon, but not of it." And I just really liked how he said that. Those are the things that we're going to have to fight for, so that we can make where we are our Zion.
I like that too. I thought that was a good one. Um, does anyone else want
I
to? What's
can.
that?
When I was when I was listening to his talk and he went through his 3 situations, I kind of just wrote down um, what I felt that was about. And so I put sportsmanship, appearance, and choices for the 3. Um, and then he said that was Babylon. And so that made me think, like, well, where is sportsmanship? Like, that doesn't necessarily have to be in sports, but like, if I'm driving and someone cuts me off, like, do I have to flip them off? No. Like, I could be a good sport about it and just be like, okay, whatever. Appearance, like, obviously I wear garments, but like, still that could be an issue, like, be your, like, dress as you should, like, dress respectful to your religion. That's kind of what I felt. And like, your choices, like, the mom decided to smoke all this pot, um, but like the coach said, like, aren't all those people Mormon? Like, a lot of people I know me as a Mormon. So like, if I always get, oh, you're drinking Diet Coke, aren't you a Mormon? You can't be drinking caffeine. And they just like joke about it. But I mean, so they know, like, so that's kind of like my appearance, is I'm like addicted to Diet Coke. But they know, like, they like are always like, oh, you're Mormon, you shouldn't be drinking caffeine. And so that gives me an opportunity to stand as a witness and be like, well, you can drink caffeine, but you shouldn't be, like. So I just think that if we really think about Babylon as being sportsmanship, not only in sports, appearance, and choices, like Rebecca said, we can be in Babylon, but not of it.
I really like that. And I kind of love too that he said, like, in the past everyone has fled Babylon, but we need to be attacking it. Like, I thought, oh, that's kind of I guess, the new stance that this dispensation takes in fighting against it. We aren't fleeing. There's no corner of the world that all the church members can hide. So we really do have to make Zion everywhere we are. Hannah, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I also liked how he started off his talk kind of talking about the different times where Israel has fled from Babylon, because I guess I didn't realize how many times that happened. And it was interesting how each time it was like the Lord decided, okay, this is not okay. I need to protect Israel, or they need to just start a new path or whatever. And now it's kind of changed a little bit so that it's like you have all you need. You have all the resources. You have the restoration. You've got the true church. And now you need to be the one overpowering Babylon, I guess, kind of fighting Babylon, like you said. And so I just kind of took from that talk that, like, there's always been times when the world has been dangerous for the Lord's people to live, but we really need to defend the family, because that's one of the essential parts of the gospel.
Nice. Yeah, I think that we really do just have to stand up, and sometimes it's, easier said than done. It's sometimes easy, like, in our own home, but like, I just kept thinking advocacy, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I am the one that's going to stand up, like, in front of everyone, but by the end of the semester, I'm sure we all will. Okay, so the next question is, what characteristics and attributes did Elder Holland expound on? What will make us or you more effective family advocates? Oh, see, perfect segue into that. Well, I'll start, and I like that he talked about that lady coming in that had, like, the colorful hair, and how he just said, like, that we need to remember that she's a daughter of God. So when we're trying to advocate, we need to remember that they're children of God, even if they're different than us or whatever. And we need to, I don't know, it made me think of Brother Rarick, is that his name, that that they went to the UN conference, and I thought they would not have any success had they just walked in and been like, this is what we know, and you guys are on the wrong, about, acted very self-righteous. But they walked in there and acted like, yeah, we love families too. And I don't know, they had the spirit about them, and they treated everyone like brothers and sisters and respected everyone. And I thought, oh, that's what I need to remember, is to not to be the final judgment. I can't remember what he said, but like, you can be the intermediate judgment, but not the final. So I guess that's kind of what I thought. We need to. Oh, and he said this, what I loved. He said we try to be our best in the situation, in a desire to help them be the best when we are trying to do that. Anyway, so that's what I thought. Anyone else?
Sure. Just the three things that he had talked about: never check your religion at the door, show compassion but be loyal to the commandments, and use the gospel values to benefit communities and countries. And then the one quote that I really liked that he said was, live our religion so broadly and unfailingly that we find all kinds of opportunities to help families, bless neighbors, and protect others, including the rising generation. And I think that just goes to show the importance of living our religion and never checking it at the door, and not judging people like you were saying, but look for opportunities to serve others. And by living our religion. And like that, at that conference, during the recording, someone had said that they didn't quote any gospel, but that they had the truths with them, and they were telling the truth, and so they were even teaching by the Spirit, even though they weren't saying, well, this is what our gospel says, this is what the prophets say, but the people in the room still felt that Spirit there. So I think it's just important to live our religion.
Thanks, Rebecca. I like how you consolidated it there, just like how each part that you said. I just wanted to read a quote that I really liked from the talk. He said, "It's easy to be righteous when things are calm and life is good and everything is going smoothly. The test is when there is real trial or temptation, when there is pressure and fatigue, anger and fear, or the possibility of real transgression. Can we be faithful then? That is the question, because Israel, Israel, God is calling." And then he talks about how Jesus Christ said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," while he was being crucified. Like in the time when it would have been most difficult to be righteous and to do things when there's it's hard to be good when there's pressure and fatigue or you're in pain. And so I just wanted to apply that to like being a family advocate. Is a lot of times it's going to be really hard. It's going to be like in the heat of the moment, or maybe people are wanting to Bible bash or something like that. And those are the times when we really need to be strong advocates. We can't just, like Rebecca said, we can't just like quote a scripture, because a lot of times that doesn't come off as intelligent to people who are on the opposing side. But we need to be prepared so that we can, in those times of pressure, we can be adequate advocates for the family.
That's awesome. I really like how you said be prepared for in the times where you need to be an advocate the most. I thought that was awesome. Something that I wrote down at the very beginning of his talk, when he was talking about all the times that the church has fled Babylon, he kept on saying, "Little did they know." And I kind of, I wrote that down, and I just thought, these people are walking by faith. Like, they didn't know, because he kept on saying, little did they know, like, this was what was, waiting for them. This is what was there for them. So for me, like, being an advocate is kind of like seeing that first step and just walking by faith, like knowing that the Lord is going to be with you and that he's going to guide you to where you need to be. And something else that I wrote down that he was talking about, he kind of kept on saying, like, not what would Jesus do, but like ask yourself these questions. Like, if you were Jesus, like, would he judge? Would he judge on the appearance? Would he yell at this person? Would he do this? So it's kind of, for me, it was like walking by faith and what would Jesus do to get you to have Christ-like attributes is to think like Jesus and to serve and to walk and just have faith in him that it will work out whatever is going on.
Thanks. So just there was one last quote that I really liked. He said, "I know no more important ability and no greater integrity for us to demonstrate in a world from which we cannot flee than to walk that careful path, taking a moral stand according to what God has declared and the laws he has given, but doing it compassionately and with understanding and great charity." And I think really like that's kind of what all of us touched on in that is just like as we're striving to be advocates, like I really think if we exercise that faith and, you know, try to be kind and gracious and loving but still make a stand, that it will be like it will make such a huge difference and we will be blessed. We will be inspired on what to do and what to say. I have to say, when we watched the little video of the what would you do, I was like frozen, like I don't know what I would do. I thought of all these things that you should do, maybe should do, and I thought, but would I? I don't know. Okay, so so the question is, according to what you've learned in Elder Holland's talk, what obligation, if any, do you have in a scenario like the one that we watched in that video? Did any of you guys have like a moment where you was like, oh yeah, I totally know what I'd do? I don't know. I didn't. It was hard. So I'm going to let someone else take the reins on this one and go first.
So I'll go ahead and start. I have a family member who is gay. Actually, I have two. One, we know who is gay, but he has not said anything yet. And so for me, I think Elder Holland, let me find, it's kind of the same thing that I touched on before, like the sportsmanship, appearance, and choices. We don't have to love the sin that people are committing, but we should love the person no matter what. I just think that in that situation, I would be like the guys who were like, here's my phone number, let me help you. Because right now, like my cousin, if I were to be like, here, take this 12-step program, she would like freak out. And so, like, would I suggest that maybe later on in life? Yes. But right now, like, I'm just going to love her and I'm going to live my religion. I'm going to tell her that, you know, marriage is important, and I'm going to show that by how I act and what I say. And I'm not just like that around her. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm super Mormon because you're gay and I'm trying to be a good example to you. Like, because that's the worst thing to do. But if I'm just myself and be like, you know what, like, and she was married in the temple and, like, you know, so I can, you know, we talk about some things sometimes, and but I just don't pressure her because I feel like the pressuring would be like, oh, so you don't agree with who I am, you don't agree with my lifestyle, and I'm a bad person and you're the greatest person, and blah, 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 blah. So I think that if you live your religion and you're compassionate and you know, be our best with the desire to help other people be their best, that is the best thing that we could do. So
I was just going to say, so in that situation, to be honest, I wouldn't have said anything to them. I wouldn't have done anything. I don't get into other people's personal conversation. That obviously was a personal conversation. People don't really have that loud of personal conversations. but but I would if it was my conversation. Like Natalie was saying, you have to just show love but be loyal to the commandments. If that goes back to Elder Holland, his number 2 thing, show compassion but be loyal to the commandments. I think that was my favorite thing about his talk, was that you don't have to agree with everything that other people are doing, but you need to show compassion to them and be loyal yourself. So in that situation, I wouldn't have said or done anything. That's not my place.
Sorry. Oh, Hannah, did you get the?
I don't know.
Did you get the question that we're on?
Is it the one about the video?
Yeah. So, what obligation would you have if you were in that scenario? Is the question. So the second one.
So I don't know what you guys have said already, but I kept thinking to myself, if there was a perfect way to say, like, Dad, you need to settle down and, like, show your son that you love him still, but still be like, homosexuality is against God's plan. Like, there would be, like, a perfect, like, because I feel like you need to defend the son a little bit because the dad was so, like, you disgust me, you know? But at the same time, the way that the guys in the video did it, they were just kind of like, I have gay siblings and I love them. But they didn't say that homosexuality was wrong either. So it's kind of hard. But I liked the quote that Elder Holland said, kind of what you guys already mentioned about compassion, where he says, we need to respond to any situation to make things better, not worse. We can't act or react in such a way that we are guilty of a greater offense than, in this case, the person is. It says that doesn't mean we don't have opinions, that we don't have standards, but somehow completely disregard divinely mandated thou shalt and thou shalt nots in life. So it's like he's talking about how we have to defend the commandments, but we cannot make things worse for the situation. It's kind of like we have to follow the Spirit in order to figure out when you need to forgive the sinners, when you need to cleanse the temple as Christ did. And so it's just, if there was a perfect way to be like, you need to settle down, sir, and son, you need some help, then that would be ideal, of course, but it's just hard.
Well, yes. I don't, it is like in the perfect scenario, maybe I would know what to say, but it is, I think, hard, and that's what I was thinking, like, and I felt like the men that didn't know them probably handled it pretty well, because I don't know, I felt like you could kind of tell they didn't approve, and but they were still loving, and I guess that's the thing is, kind of a little bit what Natalie had said, like in the beginning it's not maybe the best time to be like, absolutely not, because I'm sure that they know that it's not, I mean, it's obviously a not comfortable thing, whether they think it's because we're all in the wrong or I don't know, but I think so one of my really good friends growing up, in fact, he was in my ward, and it was like a primary of 14 girls and him, and anyways, but he has been living a homosexual lifestyle for the past, I don't know, like shortly after he got home off his mission, so probably like 12 years, and it was like, and it's interesting because he's brought partners home, and I've met him, and like I just, I try to be nice and loving and kind, and I feel like, oh, but he knows how I feel, and I know how he feels, but we've never talked about it. But he lives far away. We kind of don't have that relationship. But on Facebook, it's just funny because I have some friends that, like, I know that they have the same beliefs as me, yet they're all over it. Like, I don't know, when he makes comments, they kind of act like, you go, girlfriend, kind of attitude. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like, wait a minute, like, we shouldn't, like, please love him and be his friend, but don't support that decision. You know, I think that we still have to take a stand for what we believe is right. And so I don't know, that kind of bothers me, I guess, when people who should be having the same views as me, because I know that they're hearing the same teachings at church and from the prophets as we are. I think sometimes people try to show too much love and too much acceptance instead of loving and still standing for what's right, I guess, you know. In that situation, though, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Hannah.
can I just build on what you're saying?
Oh, go ahead.
sorry. Who was first?
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to like say what you're trying to go off, but like those people are like checking their religion at the door. Like they're like, oh, it's okay. I totally agree with your lifestyle. You go and you have boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, and you live that life. Like you go, and then that's like they're just basically being like, okay, well, I'm not going to be Mormon for him because I don't want him to get mad at me and I don't want the confrontation. So anyways, that's what I think. That's kind of like what Elder Holland is saying. Like you are Mormon, like morning, day, and night. You are not like you don't get to be Mormon in the morning and then decide not to be Mormon at night. Like it just doesn't work out.
Thanks, Natalie. I was just going to say I have a cousin who is a boy, but he dresses like a girl, and he does like drag shows and stuff like that. And he's like changed his Facebook profile to a different girl name. And so I like don't know what to do because I'm related to him. And his dad is an alcoholic and he's just had a different upbringing than I have. And so I can't really judge him. But at the same time, like the other day I put on the family proclamation the part that says marriage between a man and woman is ordained of God. So it's kind of like you can't be like, oh, I hate you because you don't agree with how I believe. But it's like at the same time you still have to tell people like, hey, I still love you, but this is not right, kind of thing. Like I also have another gay friend who came to my wedding, and we've kind of lost touch because since then I've gotten married and I'm about to have a baby, and it's just like we're just taking totally different paths. But I still am friends with him on Facebook, but I still post just what I would post about the church to all my friends as I would with him. So I agree with Natalie, and she's saying like you can't leave your faith at the door, and we're supposed to be witnesses of God at all times and all things and all places.
You know, while you guys are saying that, I was just thinking about just a little scenario. I'll make it quick, but my daughter's in junior high, and she's 13, and she's new to junior high, and we're like scared of like, you know, the world coming down in her life. But she was in a drama class, and they were doing kind of like two people were doing like little impromptu skits. But the class was voting on what the skit would be about. And the skit was, so there were two boys that names had been drawn and they were up there, and the class voted that they wanted them to act out a gay marriage. And my daughter was sitting there, and she said that she was sitting there with a couple of her LDS friends and then a boy that's Catholic and then another boy that was Christian, but she didn't know what his faith was. But she said they were all very uncomfortable. And so she said, I just thought I won't sit here and watch that. So here she is, like, I was just so proud of her when she told me this, but she stood up and she walked over to the teacher and she said, if they do this, I would like to leave the room because I don't believe in this. And the teacher said, they won't do this. We won't do that. We're not going to offend people. And so she told them, no, they couldn't do that. And I thought, And my daughter said that all the friends were just sitting there like, no, 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 sit down, like so mortified that she was going to go do this. And I thought I would have been that friend, like, sit down, don't say anything. But she just, like, I thought, oh, like, she stood up for what she believed in and didn't say, hey, don't do it. She just said, I'm not going to be a part of it. I would like to leave the room. I don't know. And I guess that is the thing that the youth are growing up with, is this thing that they are going to have to stand up and walk out of the room. And I think it's the same with these people. I guess if you're a customer and you hear this, and I mean, because for sure the dad was in the wrong by yelling at his kid and whatever, but like, I think we do have to kind of stand for right, even when it's uncomfortable and it's not necessarily involving us, which is uncomfortable for me, but I guess that's kind of what we are supposed to be doing. I don't know. Anyways, okay, so we can move on to the last question unless you guys have something to add. So the last question is just simply, if you were the customer sitting there, what principles or attributes did Elder Holland teach that should guide your response? I guess we kind of answered that, but did anyone have anything?
I think if we can just touch on, we are kind of approaching our time limit. But I think we've all responded that if we are able to show compassion, to show love, and do not check our religion at the door, then we can be the customer who can say, you know what, like, maybe you should approach this in a different way, maybe going home and thinking about it and kind of being in a private setting instead of a public setting. You guys can, figure this out, and he's still your son, and you still should love him, and, kind of teach them to be the best person, with the desire to help the other person be their best. And just, it could be simply as stated, like, I don't agree with your lifestyle choices, but I still love you, and I want to help you, through this time. Not necessarily say, like, I'm going to help you not be gay anymore, because that's just silly, and so I don't know, I just think that if we basically go back on everything that we've said, like, to show compassion, to show love, to respond to make things better, not worse, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if anybody else has anything else to add.
I think that's really good, and a pretty good summary of what we have talked about. Do you have anything else to add to the summary, since you are our note person?
No, I mean, I would say that what I just shared basically sums up everything that we've talked about, that, you can't decide when you're going to be Mormon, and you can't decide when you're not going to be, and to show compassion and stuff. So I think that we're good, unless anybody has anything else to say. No? All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast. Hannah, your computer must be freaking out, but we can just end, and I'll post it right now. Cool. Thanks, guys.